The President continues his functions by presiding over the Federal Executive Council meeting, the first since he returned from London.
Nigerians knew that at that age, President Muhammadu Buhari, is no longer as young and vibrant as he was, when he was a military head of state. And yet, they saw some qualities in him when they overwhelmingly voted for him. And so also, Nigerians, even young people can, fall ill. So Nigerians are not expecting that the president, would, not fall ill. But what Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians expect would be anytime the president, is unable to discharge the function as a result of, ill health, Nigerians should be carried along. Because, like they say, once bitten, twice shy. Nobody would want to repeat, or go back to the days of Yaradua played golf, Umaru, are you dead? Or he's laughing, or he received prayers and, or the Dambaba Sutai's case. People with, the advent of new media, if you allow, if you refuse to give information, mind you, opposition are going to give you information. They're going to fill in the gap. People will look for. And so if you allow gap, people will fill them in. And so whatever comes into that space, might be disastrous. That's why, like I always say, in the absence of information, rumor thrives. And once rumor starts to thrive, even intellectuals are turned to conveyor belts. Henceforth, president's handlers should learn to manage information. There is a way you can pass this same information without, ringing the alarm bell, and people will, willingly be praying for the speedy recovery of Mr. President and for him to come back, in good health. Because the people that voted for him knew, like I said before, that he was, at that age, this capacity, to withstand the rigors will not be as, vibrant and, swift as it was when he was young. And so they know that, this might sometimes take him out of work. But they also want to know when it does happen, so that they can be carried along. That is the way, you feel, as a stakeholder, because you all have information.
Liberous Oshoma, a lawyer, commends the synergy between the president and the vice president, but states that his healthy return after his medical leave will give more confidence to governance.
For confidence, investors' confidence in the system, that look, the president is not around. What happened to him? Somebody's acting in his stead. For how long is this best person going to act? And any decision he takes, does the president have that full confidence in decisions he will take? That what if the president comes back and overturns most of these decisions? So that confidence, needed to be there. And that's why a lot of people were asking questions. But you see, it is only in this part of the world, like we always say, when a man does what he should do, and we begin to eulogize him and praise him, because we are not used to seeing people do the right thing. Because ordinarily, governors are traveling, rather than, transmit a letter to the State House of Assembly, or the case of the President of the National Assembly, to allow the deputy, the vice in this case, to act. They would rather want, because they don't trust anybody, they would rather want to put a stooge there that will hold forth for them, or nobody should act at all, because to them it's like an extension of a personal estate. It's just like court delivering a judgment, and then the governor comes or the president comes and say, well, we will obey, as if he has a choice not obeying the judgment. And so that's why, for us, you see, when the president transmitted a letter to the National Assembly that he was proceeding on leave, and then the process will attend to his health, everybody started eulogizing him because, oh, this is novel, we have not seen it before. But that is the right thing to do. That's the property, that's the constitutional requirement. And then as for the trust in his vice, it's fine for our democracy also, because when you appoint or you nominate a running mate, the presumption is that since you all belong to the same party, you share common ideas, or it should have some areas of strength where you are weak. It should be able to support you. Look at Obama and Joe Biden. And you look at the two, they say, oh, in terms of international, relations and diplomacy, Joe Biden was, very good. And that was, some areas people feel Obama would not be too strong. And so he needed somebody to complement him. And also in terms of Buhari and Osinbajo, we've seen the difference. You see Buhari advanced in age, from military background. And then Osinbajo, still not too old, young man, vibrant from, the academic sector, even though we had one before that didn't really represent that sector well. But you could see from the period he acted that truly, he was, even the opposition, had no choice but to say, yes, truly, we're having it, good. So, fantastic relationship. And I hope that relationship, politics will not separate them, and, it should work well for the benefit of Nigeria.
Mr. Oshoma says the 1999 Constitution is silent on how long a president can stay away from duty.
The Constitution is really silent on how long, the president can stay out on grounds of ill health. But Section 144 makes provision for the members of cabinet, in this case the ministers, to be able to set up a medical team to say, look, the president is incapacitated, and then set up a medical team to examine, the state of health of the president. And so in that regard, the next question you ask yourself is, in Nigeria, a team of ministers appointed by the president, in all honesty, actually set up a medical team to examine the state of health of Mr. President? The answer we all know is no. And so even if, that's why you see the way the president's health was managed, oh, it's fine, even when it was obvious that it wasn't fine. So that people will not be asking for, the cabinet to invoke Section 144 of the Constitution. Because, like I said, the Constitution is silent on how long he can, stay out. The only closeness you have to that is Section 145, subsection 2, when it says if the president does not transmit a letter within 21 days, then the National Assembly should empower the vice to act in his stead. That was added, after that Yaradua crisis, and then we have to invoke the doctrine of necessity. And so the president, in as far as the Constitution is concerned, if he's sick, he can, leave at any time, provided he transmits a letter by virtue of Section 145, subsection 1. And then if he stays out too long, then people can now be agitating for the invocation of Section 144. Apart from that, really, there is no clear-cut, provision in the Constitution on how long a president can stay away or how long a vice can act. Let me even ask a hypothetical question. Can the Senate reject the president's letter to say, look, let's say, for example, the country is in crisis and the president transmits a letter to the National Assembly that is proceeding on leave? By virtue of Section 145, subsection 1, it just says he transmits a letter and the vice will act. He didn't say what the Senate should do with that letter. And so, in that case, the Senate cannot even say, we reject this letter, you can't proceed on leave, or you can't go on medical, vacation. The Senate's own is to receive, and then the vice president will act. And that's all. And anything beyond that will be, acting or traverse the Constitution. So in the same vein, in the case of Section 144, it is the same thing that the executive members of his cabinet would trigger the clause to say that the president is incapacitated, and then a medical board will be set up to examine. And then once the report comes that truly is incapacitated, and the report is published in the official gazette of the Federal Republic, from that, the day that it is published, he ceases, to be president, and then his deputy will step in.
The presidency has disclosed that President Buhari may return to London for more checkups in few weeks.